Samoa Joe has always been an internet darling. And if Tony is getting a lot of pushback on Jon Moxley, I can very, very, very easily see him switching that belt.
All right, let's talk about Samoa Joe challenging Jon Moxley for the title at AEW Beach Break inside a steel cage. Fans are sick of Moxley as the champion. Should Samoa Joe get the championship again based on anything you know about current AEW product?
First of all, bro, that's a horrible name for a pay-per-view. Is that the name of it? Beach Break? Yeah, that's horrible. I'm sorry. That's a horrible name.
I think it's a Dynamite special.
Yeah, bro. Samoa Joe has always been an internet darling, and if Tony is getting a lot of pushback on Jon Moxley, I can very, very, very easily see him switching that belt.
Yeah. How does it work? I mean, we've talked about this before. To those who are new to the channel, how was it working with Samoa Joe when you were in TNA?
It was bad, bro, for me. It was a really bad experience. And bro, like, I'll tell you why. And Joe wound up hating me, but he wound up hating me for all the wrong reasons. And I'll explain that to you in a minute. But here's the problem with Samoa Joe. Bro, we were on such a shoestring budget in TNA. Chris, I am not lying to you. There would be times we would do 6 shows in a day. Okay, definitely 8 shows over 2 days. Definitely. That's 8 episodes, right? So we would do the 8 shows. We would have the 8 shows in the can. By the time we came back to TNA to film again, sometimes it was like 6 or 8 weeks because we had the shows in the can. Mm-hmm. Bro, we'd come back and the dude packed on 50 pounds. And so all of a sudden you've got this run of 8 shows where he looks great. And then you've got these run of 8 shows where he's 50 pounds overweight. And Terry Taylor was talent relations, and Terry was the one that always used to stay on top of him with his weight. But it was constant, bro. When Terry would get on him, the next set of TVs, the weight would be off. Great. Okay. We'd shoot 6 to 8 episodes. We come back. He's 50 pounds overweight again. It was a freaking nightmare. So what happened, Chris, where he really wound up hating me? Chris, we're in a creative meeting one day. It's me, Ed Ferrara, Eric Bischoff, and Matt Conway. Okay. Eric comes up with this idea of Samoa Joe being kidnapped by a bunch of ninjas and thrown in a van. Okay. Eric's payoff to that was going to be Jimmy Snuka was going to be behind it, and kind of like the Samoans kidnapped Samoa Joe.
Okay.
So, bro, this is where the politics really come in. Like, Ed and I are looking at each other like, really, bro? And you can't say no. You can't say no. But what we said was, Eric, you sure you can get Snuka? Oh, yeah, no problem, blah, blah, blah. I'll get him, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here's what happens, Chris. When we get to TV, Eric produced nothing. I produced everything. So I'm producing the kidnapping with the white van, okay? And Samoa Joe is hating every single moment of it, okay? Now, Chris, when we would have committees like that and other people involved, Chris, you have the agreement that when you leave the room, you're a unit.
Yeah.
So in other words, even if you didn't like an idea, you don't throw anybody under the bus. It's always, that's what we came up with. Yeah. Terry Taylor was notorious for, we'd all be in agreement. We'd leave the room. a talent would not like it. And Terry, to be honest with you, I don't like it either. He was notorious for that. But, me, once we agreed, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. So, bro, I swear to God, 5 years pass, I leave TNA, and I'm reading an interview where Samoa Joe is just burying me. So I do what I always do. I write him an email, and I'm like, did I do something to you that I've completely forgot about, Joe? Because I don't really understand what your beef is with me. You never said a cross word to me when we worked together, but now you're burying me in this interview. So he writes me back, bro, and he tells me this whole soliloquy of how I personally killed his career by having him thrown into a white van by a bunch of maxed men. And I said, Joe, you've been walking around with that for 5 freaking years. I said, now I could tell you. I said, for starters, not my idea, Joe. I didn't come up with that. And I said, and if you don't believe me, if you think I'm lying, Matt Conway still works there with you. Ex Matt, whose idea that was. But this dude carried that around for 5 freaking years, bro. Because like I said, man, I never, if we agreed on something and we said, okay, even if we didn't think it was a good idea, bro, when you leave that room, you never throw anybody under the bus. It's always, that was our idea. So to this day, that dude still holds that against me. And it's like, well, whatever, bro. But he is a internet darling. And you know Tony, he does everything for the internet, Chris. So that would not surprise me at all.
Yeah, really interesting story there. So from what I'm gathering, at the end of the day, he now knows that you didn't have anything to do with the idea, and he's still holding the grudge.
He probably thinks I'm lying. He probably thinks I'm lying. And that's why I said to him, because Conway was still working with him. Conway was still there, and Conway was involved in it. I said, go. I said, if you think I'm lying, go ask Matt Conway whose idea that was, if you really want to know. But that's how they are, bro. That's the one thing I hate about wrestlers more than anything, Chris. I can't stand this about them. They have a problem with you, and you don't find out until you're not working together anymore. And you read about it.
Yeah, isn't that par for the course when it comes to just wrestling talent, period, right?
Yes, that drives me free. You're working with these people every day. They'll never say nothing to you. So you constantly go on in life wondering who you have heat with and who you don't have heat with. That is the one thing I could never stand about. Bro, you know how many times freaking Jim Cornette was standing right here? Do you know how many times, bro? Do you know how many Jim Cornette pre-tapes I produced? I was the producer. Do you know how many times? But all of a sudden, when we're not working together anymore, oh, Vince Russo is this, that, and the other thing. That's one of the things about the business, bro. I always hate. You think these are like manly men, and if they got an issue with you, they're going to tell you. Nah, bro, it don't work that way.
Oh, very, very interesting.